expression of understanding who we are, because everything like is leading our way to here, to it's like everything's our soul's way of telling us like, hey, I love you, you know. And you can kind of see it everywhere, you know, like the oneness is everywhere. Like you see people like, you know, even with like something like the Ku Klux Klan, you know, I think that it's like the soul is constantly telling everyone, I love you. Everything's perfect. Everyone's a part of us. It's all one. It's all beautiful. But let's say I have a lot of problems in my head, you know? Let's say I have a lot of anger, a lot of hatred. I can't really receive that as well, you know? So maybe I might hear, I love you from my soul is, you know, hate all black people, you know, if that makes sense. Because it's like I'm saying I'm trying to find a oneness. And so I try to find it in this group over here. You know, that's like we're trying to find like something that's like to make us feel good about ourselves. You know, like, oh, I'm very smart. Like oh, I'm very like I want to belong to this group here. We belong to all these groups in our heads and our minds as people because we're just searching for that group of love, that oneness group. And we don't feel we can belong to the oneness group because there's like so many people out there that we think are crazy. You know, there's so many people that, oh, we can't be friends with them. Oh, those people are insane. But those people aren't really insane. Those people are just us. Those people are just people doing their best to survive. Those people are just kind of, you know, understanding, you know, like, you know, if like an 8-year-old told a therapist what he thought about the world, he could be, you know, put away for a long time. You know, it's all people's perceptions. I don't know if I lost you guys there, but
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, going back to the earlier point,
Yeah.
part of what he said was that we should be looking favorably on people who are pushing the button.
Yeah.
Because the reason we want to look favorably on that is if the button's getting pushed, they're doing you a favor by bringing that.
Exactly.
awareness.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Those people are like wonderful. It's like, and maybe they don't feel wonderful. And maybe when you first want to, you want to like, you know, yell at them or smack them or say something back. But, you know, anytime anybody's like kind of yelling at you or mad at you, it's just them that's upset, you know. Like at one time I had this friend who was just started yelling at me and, about something. I don't really remember. But in the moment, I became this was like a couple years ago. Somehow, I don't know, it was the grace of God. I had this like incredible moment of total compassion for this guy and total oneness through his yelling at me. And I felt like this guy was like my brother. And I just sat there and I was just like, wow, yes. And after this, after him like yelling for like 3 or 4 minutes, he was like, man, my life sucks. Cause he, yeah, cause he knew, cause like what gives him, like the reaction, it's like, hey man, like, you know, you're stupid. Like, no, I'm not. Like, yeah, you are. It's like, hey, like, recently I actually got beat up by this comedian guy because it was kind of my like, this guy was trying to tell me, like, I just got off stage doing comedy and this guy came up, this like comedian that was like a paid comic, like you know, he does gigs everywhere or something, and he was like trying to tell me what to do with my act. And I don't really do comedy to like make millions of dollars at it. I'm just kind of doing it because I enjoy it. So I was kind of rude in the fact that I was like, okay, dude, I don't really care what you have to say, honestly. Like I was just honest with how I felt. I was like, you know, I wasn't like, if I would have been more gentle, I could have been like, you're okay, man, I understand what you're saying. Yes, I get you. Thank you. But instead I was kind of just like, all right, you know, I don't really care, honestly. Like, you know, you're not really helping me because I know, you know, I'm not really doing it for the same reasons you are. So the guy got really mad. And then afterwards, he was like still running his mouth like 20 minutes later, and I was like, "Wow, man, you're still up about this, man. Please." And he's like, "You're a a-hole," and I was like, "You're right, I am." And he's like, "You know, man, you're a d-bag," and I was like, "Yeah, you're right, I am." And I kept saying, I kept agreeing with him, and he had no like other way to hurt me, so he punched me in the face and slammed my head into the wall. But the great thing about that is that it felt like afterwards I wasn't like mad at the guy because I wasn't angry at the guy at all, and I like it hurt my head and like, but But for the next 3 days, I felt this incredible compassion for everyone because I don't know, something in my head, like I wasn't thinking clearly, in the sense of like 2 plus 2, I would have been like 7, because like my mind wasn't really working as well, but like my heart was like totally open, and it was like, I don't know, it was kind of like I'd had like some sort of sex with this guy, from I mean, this is of course in a spiritual sense. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I need to be more. Yeah, call it. You're right. Like in a spiritual sense, like I had connected with this guy on this incredibly deep level by him slamming my head into the wall. And afterwards, when he saw that I wasn't like upset, he was like, "Man, I'm so sorry." And he just kept apologizing, and he was like really worried. And then he like stormed out because he thought I was gonna call the cops. But like, because I didn't give him a reaction. I didn't fight back. But yeah, so that's it reminds me. Jack, you guys read Kerouac? That was one of his. I don't know. He used to get really drunk and go to bars and have people beat him up. I don't suggest that. He wrote On the Road. He's just one of my favorite writers. I just said it. My mind told me to. On the Road, Dharma Bums. He was one of the Beats. Him and Ginsberg. But all right, so we got that. All right. Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. 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 But you're viewing them as strife, which creates you having strife. It's like when you're around these people and you're saying these people are in strife, that's like, oh, I feel strife. But if like I come in and I'm like, man, my life sucks, dude. Like you won't believe what happened, man. I was driving down the road and this guy hit me, and then he got off and he punched me in the face and we got in this fight. Man, it was horrible. And if you're like, man, that guy's crazy, that guy's he seeks strife. That's gonna put that on you. But if you're like, cool, dude, you don't have to be cool. Like, all right, I accept that. If that's, yeah, or whatever. If that's how you feel. I mean, like it's like staying neutral is great, but also like if you just, okay, cool, like because like the love vibration is like sometimes we don't like if someone is sort of like maybe someone consider them like a little off or something, right? And you give them love. That's gonna make it a lot easier for them. Like, okay, let's say somebody's addicted to drugs or something, right? This is just my opinion, whatever. I mean, from what I can tell of the energy, like let's say someone's addicted to drugs, and I'm like, man, you're on drugs. You're horrible. You're just doing drugs. You're wasting your life. You're just a bad person. Drugs are bad, and you're bad. That's gonna create someone to want to do more drugs. That's gonna create that doing drugs and then saying someone's bad is on the same energy of the drugs, of the doing of the drugs. So if I'm like, you're bad, that's gonna be like, huh, I'm bad. Okay, what am I gonna seek refuge in? Okay, I'll do some more drugs. The drugs aren't telling me they're bad. They're telling me I'm I feel good. So if I say, that, that's great. So if I'm just kind of like, if someone's like on drugs, like, okay, cool. I love you. If you need to do like, I mean, I'm not saying anything like that, but I'm not saying like tell them to do it or anything like that. There's no like, it's just kind of like, I respect where you're at. Yeah, no, exactly, no judgment. That's awesome. That's beautiful. Oh wow. That's so true. Exactly. And yeah, exactly. It's not saying like I'm not saying go tell the person, yeah, go crash your car, go get drunk, go get wasted, and do that. It's more of like if someone's doing that, okay, you know, I'm here for you. Yeah, yeah. It's not the most helpful. Yeah, yeah. Because they're seeking that something greater than themselves, not knowing their own greatness. Yeah, exactly. And they feel good, and then it's like, yeah. So it's like anytime anybody's doing, like whatever you think is bad, um, not encouraging bad behavior, but just okay. Yeah, because you're afraid of like, your own self, or you're afraid of what might happen to them. So it's like, oh yeah, he's great. Yeah, yeah. And if you guys just want to take a moment right now to take a deep breath and just kind of give thanks for all the people of the world, all the people who've maybe pushed your buttons, and all the people who have inspired us, like Eckhart Tolle and James, and all the wonderful people at Unity, and just like all the just people of the world, just existing and doing their best to just kind of doing the same thing you are, just trying to figure out whatever it is we are trying to figure out. All right, thank you. Um, I was gonna say the next point I brought up was I was gonna say also a thing that I find that we do a lot is that keeps us from the balancing of the joy is like let's say tomorrow you go out and you're like, man, I had the greatest day ever. Yesterday was you have the greatest day ever tomorrow. And the next day it's not so good, right? And you talk about in your past tense, man, yesterday was awesome. I felt so great yesterday. Still in it, you know what I'm saying? There is no yesterday. Yeah, you're still feeling it. It's like you have an incredible experience, and then you start all of a sudden like, man, I felt like, all right, you go to you like today, James just gives you this incredible love energy. Everybody here is loving. Man, I felt